we're going to hear from Jill Jacobs. She is the leader of Family Builders and does some great work, is also a part of the work that is the Youth Acceptance Project. And so also just fierce mama. And so we're going to hear from Jill, hear some comments from Jill. And then at some point, I believe Senator Merkley is going to appear after Jill's done. Fingers crossed all the timing works out. And so we'll hear from them. We've got a few more left, but we're in that sort of final push. So don't forget, you can still tell your friends to jump on Zoom if they've got the link, or to hop on over to the YouTube live stream. And of course, after today, we'll all be available there still. So Jill, take it away.
Thanks, Elliot. And you and Angela really did a great job of choreographing this because it seems to be family hour. So I'm so happy to follow Sky and Mama Camille. I am the CEO of Family Builders, an organization in the San Francisco, Oakland Bay area. We work with youth in the foster care and juvenile justice systems. My pronouns are she and her. But I'm here today as a mom, as a mama, fierce mama. I'm a lesbian mom. We started out as two moms. We have two kids, which are grown adults now, one gay, one straight. And I came up with this morning, Sky, not after you said it, but families, parents need to be visible and unstoppable. We need to be, that needs to be the anthem for every parent and every caregiver. We need to be visible to our kids to show them our support, and we need to be unstoppable in the world to keep our kids safe and affirmed. So step up, families, and be that person. And when I say families, I don't just mean mom or mama or dad, daddy and papa, but aunties, uncles, gay uncles, chosen family, next door neighbor, coach, teacher. Be the person for the young person in your life, so that they know that they are loved and that there's someone that they can be with that supports them. I want to give you one statistic today because it's important, and that is that youth who receive parental support regarding their gender identity are 93% less likely to attempt suicide than youth who did not perceive parents as supportive. Your support is a matter of life and death. Remember that. We love our kids love us, and they want our love. So, easier said than done. How do we do that? First and foremost, respect and honor who your children and youth are and how they express themselves. Continue to love them, show them affection, and probably most important, listen to them and listen with an open mind. Don't get hung up on vocabulary. If you don't know what something means, ask your kid, and ask them what it means to them, because some words and labels have multiple meanings. Ask them what it means to them. And if you can't for some reason, or you need more information, we got our best friend Google, and Google's pretty inclusive, so don't hesitate to use it. I had to look something up last night. And then you need to do your homework. You need to learn what you need to know about your child. Are they gay? Are they queer? Are they trans? Are they non-binary? And then what does that mean? And then what do I need to know as their parent to support them? It is not their job to teach you. It's your job to learn what you need to do and who you need to be. And keep in mind, identities and sexual orientation change. Sometimes young folks are figuring it out, and it can change, and change happens along the way. So don't get too wedged in those boxes. And the young folks are kind of blowing up those boxes. They like labels like genderqueer and things like that. So we're not just in one box. Those of us who are a little older are still stuck on the boxes, but the young folks are blowing up the boxes. And then something that's really important, way before you know what your child's sexual orientation or gender identity is, from a very early age, become an inclusive family. Be sure that what your kids are seeing and hearing and doing is inclusive. That can be stories or books or movies. You could have that very controversial storybook about the two gay penguins. I'm sure it's been banned in many states, but that's a great one, and they do mate for life. So, but even the math problem could have two dads instead of mom and dad. It could have two moms. Just make sure that everything in your surroundings has some inclusivity into it, and you don't have to even make a big point of it. It just needs to be there. That begins to lay the groundwork for young people to hear acceptance from a young age. This also means that then you have to address hate and bias from others at an early age. So you have to stand up. You have to tell family members and teachers and anyone your child has spends time with that it's not okay when hate comes up, and you have to push back on it. Our kids need to know that we will stand up for them, both at home and in the world, and you have to do whatever it takes, and that might be hard. You might have to tell your mother-in-law the kids can't spend time with her at her house unless she can stop her homophobic and transphobic comments. And if that means grandma only gets supervised visits at your house, well, then that's what it is, because you have to stand up for your kids. You need to go to school, you need to go to camp, you need to go to church. I have a great short story to tell you about a mom in church. We worked with a mom of a trans youth, and she was very affirming and supportive of her young person as soon as he came out. And she belonged to a very conservative religious denomination. So she did two things. The first thing she did is she went to the pastor and sat down with him and said, if you want our family to continue in this congregation, you need to stop the homophobic and transphobic comments that have been coming from the pulpit. Pastor agreed. And the other thing she did, and I love this because this is a mom kind of thing to do, the church had a summer camp for the kids in the church every year, and the youth had gone, and it was a really important part of his summer, and he wanted to continue to go. Mom was really worried about, now that youth had come out and transitioned, how that was going to be. So mom went to summer camp with kid, and she didn't sleep in the cabin with the kids, but she was there, and she was keeping an eye on things, and she was making sure that there was no bullying or teasing or anything else. That young person got to have that camp experience like other kids got to have. So another mom kind of thing, that in the world, if you're concerned or your young person is concerned about how other folks are reacting to your family, and this happens to a lot of us, our family is adoptive, multicultural. None of us look like we belong with each other in any way, and so we were always getting looks. And if that's something that goes on in your world, whether that's over pink hair or nail polish or whatever, come up with some kind of inside family sign. So you can do the little ear pull, or for our family, it was the Bonnie Raitt song, Let's Give Them Something to Talk About. And that really became our anthem. One of us would start humming it or start to sing it softly if we were somewhere where something was starting to feel uncomfortable. And that just kind of meant, everybody else needed to pay attention, maybe close ranks. Do we need to leave? Was this not a safe place? Or do we just need to be mindful of each other and be there for each other? And it really became an anthem. And yeah, so. And speaking of being in public, keeping kids safe is one of our number one jobs as a parent. And this can be tricky when it comes to gender expression. So first, we need to do our best to make sure that our kids are in safe environments. And we can't define safe by what we think might happen when youth's identity is compromised. So you're not affirming your child when you say you can wear a dress, but you can't wear it to grandma's house or to church. That's not affirming your child. Sorry. Oops. You have to get past that, and you have to work through it, which means you might have to stand up to grandma, or you might have to stand up to church. But at the same time, you need to keep your kids safe. So your middle schooler walks down into the kitchen one morning on the way to school in a ball gown and 4-inch platforms and says they're going to school. You're still a parent. And you need to make a decision about safety. Is that a safe outfit for school or not? And if you're confused about that because of gender, take the gender out of it. It makes the questions a lot easier to figure out. Would you let your daughter go to school in a ball gown and 4-inch platforms? Probably not. So then it's off the table for anybody, regardless of their gender. You're still a parent. You still need to make sure your kid's safe. But that's different than saying, oh, I don't think you should wear that to the ballet class because I don't think that's okay in the ballet class. Your job is to find the ballet class where the nail polish and the glitter is okay. And that's our job as the parent. Try and find ways that you can support your youth in the community, in the LGBT community. Make sure that they can get to events and support groups and activities in the community. And again, we need to make sure that they're safe. It's Pride Weekend in San Francisco Bay Area. If your middle schooler wants to go to San Francisco Pride by themselves, not San Francisco. No, not a good idea. But maybe there's an uncle or a parent, or maybe you're going to go with your kid to Gay Pride March. Somebody else is a little bit older that's, a little bit older to do some supervision. But on the other hand, if your 16-year-old wants to go with a group of friends, it might be okay at some Pride events and after you have the conversations about sex, drugs, and rock and roll, right? You need to welcome your kids' friends, take an interest in their friends and their partners and who they're dating. Um, be interested in their activities and what's going on in their world. What are they watching on TV and streaming? Can you join them? And then in closing, this is hard. And if it's too hard for you and you can't get yourself there, then and you can't become the supportive, affirming parent that your child needs them to be. Here's some things that you must do. First, you must find a therapist to help you. This is your stuff. This is not your child's stuff to work through. You need somebody that you can talk to about this, and so you need a therapist. Might look for a support group or a PFLAG group in your community where you can be with other parents and other families that have gone through what you've gone through. And then last, make sure that your kid has their person. I talked about this in the beginning. If that can't be you, then make sure that there is their person. So again, auntie, uncle, coach, next door neighbor, somebody where they can just be who they are and they can have a conversation about whatever's going on for them in their lives. And uh, lastly, for those of you who are professionals, who are working with families, please, please, please know that families can and do change. Don't give up on them. Don't write them off. Be patient, be kind, meet them where they are. Family Builders has a program called the Youth Acceptance Project, and we work with a lot of families around this. We're there, we meet them where they're at, and we help them work through this because home needs to be safe, especially when the world is not, and we know it is not. And we need to be visible to our kids and unstoppable in the world. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jill. I really appreciate you taking the time to be with us today and sharing. And as people are sharing in the chat, you are a fierce mom, and we're glad for it. So thank you for your fierceness. Thanks for being here and all the work that you all do.